Be a quick video on how to slice down a 3D file that is far too big for your 3D printer, just to make it easier so you can print big stuff easy. I'm going to be using Blender for this. This is exactly what Blender looks like when you open it. First thing we want to do is delete the cube because you don't want that. Right click, delete. Now we want to import the file you want to cut up. So go File, Import. You have all these file types you can choose from, but we are using an STL is the file we want to reduce. So click on that. I have it saved in a folder on my desktop. It's a piece of a proton pack. You see, pulled it in here. We're going to zoom out because it is fairly large. So if you haven't used Blender to rotate around, you're going to click the mouse wheel and just move your mouse around and it will rotate. You can see it's sitting pretty far above our axis here, so we want to move it down just to kind of center it here on this point. So with it selected, if we go over here, you have location, rotation, and scale you can adjust. So we want to move it down on the Z-axis. So we're just going to left click in the middle of the Z and just drag the mouse to the left and it will come down. Somewhere near the middle, just so we can rotate around it and it stays toward the middle. Now, depending on the size of your printer and how big the file is, you need to decide how many times you need to cut this. We'll just cut this one in half, just for the example, but once you learn how to cut something, you can cut it multiple times. You can cut this into a dozen pieces if you want to. Where this has detail stuff on the side, we want to make sure we don't cut those. And this is fairly symmetrical, so we're going to want to cut between these. So now that we have it selected, we're going to go up here on the left where it says Object Mode at the top left, click on that, and we're going to go to Edit Mode. Now it should stay orange here. If your model is not orange, click A on your keyboard and it will select it, and it should look orange just like this does. So now we're over here on the left, you have all these tools. And there's one here called Knife. So we're going to left click and hold. So it'll bring out this side menu, and we want to go down to Bisect and then release the left click. So now the tool is bisect. So we want to go between these two screw things here. So we're going to left click, hold, and then just drag across the model, and it will create a perfectly straight line. So now if I release and rotate, you can see there's a circle cut around the whole thing, and we have this on the side, which shows this would be the inner portion and this is the outer portion. So now over here on the bottom left, there's this tool that says bisect. We're going to click on that. This is our options, what we're going to do with this. So the first one we want to do is fill. What that does is when you remove one of the halves, it will go in and fill that space and make it flat, which is important. And we're going to clear each of these one by one, but we're just going to do them one at a time. So to start, we will do clear inner, which makes the bottom disappear. So if we rotate, you can see it's a flat surface. It's just the top. Now we want to save this before we do anything else. So we're going to go File, Export, STL. We want to go back to the folder, wherever you want to save it, and we're going to call this Top. Over here, include, we want to say Selection Only, and Export. Now that that's exported, we want to deselect Clear Inner and select Clear Outer. Again, we can look at it, nice flat. So we're going to save that. We're going to go File, Export, STL. We're going to call this one Bottom. Selection Only is selected, and Export. Okay. Now, if we go back to our folder on our desktop, here's our Blender example that I'm working with. Here's the original file. We have the top portion. and the bottom portion. And if we go back into Blender, if we delete this, because we don't need this file anymore, not deselect, delete, haha. We're going to do File, then Import, STL. We're going to select top and bottom, and import, and it will remember their orientation to each other, but these are now totally separate files. So you can take that, you can bisect that again. I recommend if you're going to cut something into multiple pieces, kind of map it out on paper and number the pieces so you know where everything goes. But yeah, that is how you cut up files in Blender. If you'd like, I can make another video on how to create keys for these. Essentially, you'll make a peg that goes between the two models. So you have the two model pieces come together, and you also print a peg that holds them all together and lines everything up. But if you're interested in that, let me know. If you have any questions, just hit me up. Take it easy.